Hi everybody, Mark Moorhead here at the Hall of Flame Museum of Firefighting in Phoenix, Arizona. I am the Curator of Education here at the world's largest museum of firefighting history, and if you can't come into the museum, we'll bring the museum to you. And today I have the honor to bring you one of our really beautiful pieces, a truck that's in Gallery 2, and everybody's heard of a Mack truck. When I was a kid in high school, they used to say, like, you know, your mother looks like a Mack truck or something like that. That was an insult that would be thrown out. I never really understood it. I always thought Mack trucks were beautiful, and I certainly think so of this truck. Now, this truck goes back, you know, when you think of Mack trucks, you think of that Bulldog, the Bulldog hood ornament logo that Mack is so famous for. This is an example of where that Mack Bulldog came from. It's got that blunt front end, and in World War I, that was a very common army truck, and British soldiers started referring to them as the Bulldog. And so that Mack picked up on that, and they eventually turned that into their hood ornament on Mack trucks. This one began life as an army truck in 1919, and a few years later, it was bought by one of the great American cities. I've had a lot of fun there. The city of Baltimore, Maryland purchased this truck, and they turned it into a fire truck in their own shops. What they did was they added, unlike a lot of trucks that we have here in Gallery 2, this one is not a pumper, it's a ladder truck. And they added a big old haul-away ladder wagon that had been built in the 1800s and was horse-drawn, obviously. They added that on, and it became converted into a fire truck. And that's how a lot of the early fire trucks started, is you took something, or trucks of any kind really, is you took something that had been horse-drawn and you hooked a tractor or a truck up to it, and all of a sudden you kind of got a big rig. That was the case here. Went into action in the ladder, the number 24 ladder company in Baltimore in 1923, and it stayed in service until the 1950s, so it had a long history with them. Now, it had that ladder wagon. Additionally, they put on some other cool features. There are a couple of those beautiful copper chemical tanks where they combine sodium bicarbonate with sulfuric acid, and you get a nice big blast of water. It's not a long blast, but it'll kind of knock the fire down and buy you a little bit of time until the pumpers start showing up and putting serious water on it. And also, of course, one of the really iconic things in firefighting history, even though in reality it wasn't one of the greatest things, is one of those escape nets, or life nets as they call them, and that's the big kind of canvas trampoline thing that these guys would hold out, and they would catch somebody, hopefully, that jumped out of a burning building. The trouble with them was, of course, they were really dangerous. It's hard to know where you're going to land when you jump out of a building, and so unfortunately a lot of times people would miss and they would suffer injury or death. Sometimes they'd hit the firefighters, and the firefighters would suffer injury or death. And so they weren't really the best idea, and there were places that kept them until even up and probably until around the early 1960s. But most places retired them. You see them in the movies all the time, but actually they weren't the best idea ever. You wanted to wait for somebody to get a nice ladder up to you. But it is a very respected model of truck. As you can see, it's a chain drive, and it is a crank start. So some guy with, you know, arms like Popeye would crank this thing and get the engine going. And it must have been quite a sight going down the street in Charm City, Baltimore, to see this thing coming along. And as always, it's a big favorite of mine, so it's a real pleasure for me to get to present it to you. As always, if you like these little video segments that we do for you, we ask that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and that you like and share them with people. And check back often, because we're always trying to bring you something new here on the Hall of Flame YouTube channel. My name is Mark. Thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye.